Pulse Tones Definitive Guide. Welcome to a highly anticipated series where I analyze every album Gilmour ever made with Pink Floyd or solo, song by song, well, not all songs, but most of the songs, explaining the signal chains, how the guitar sounded without the mix. I'm going to extract guitar parts, and of course how you can get those tones in your bedroom, just as I do. I'm going to give you my signal chain, and of course I'm going to demonstrate the sound clips. Before I get into the video, I want to thank each and every patron I get. I can't believe the support I get there. I mean, thank you. I mean, I do a great job there, but I didn't think it would grow this big, this fast. So thank you all. Now, I already made a video about David Gilmour's every tone. It's the perfect video for you if you know your gear. It's shorter and it gives you an idea about the modulations and the signal chains that David Gilmour used. You can just check that out too, but in this video, I'm gonna go song by song, like I said, most of the songs, song by song, explaining the signal chain and give you my chain. Also, I made a similar video just like this about comfortably numb guitar solos, 13 different tone guides and extracted guitar sounds. This will be just like that, only it's for the pulse tones. I gotta get a disclaimer here. I am 95% sure about everything in this video, but I'd love to be wrong. We can just talk below. I've benefited from different websites, different blogs, interviews, books, Phil Taylor's books. I'm not saying this is 100% nailed down. Of course, nobody knows 100%, except David Gilmour probably. But like I said, this is just my 2 cents. I'm pretty sure I nailed down 110%. But just to be safe, I want to say that I'm sure 95%. I don't want to take responsibility. Before I start with the signal chains and sound clips, I want to give a little pointers. First of all, I'm not going to get into insane amount of details, which wouldn't matter for this video actually, like cables and EQ placement and mixing and everything. I'm just going to give you a simple, basic signal chain David Gilmour used, which if you use the same signal chains, you're going to get the same tone. And of course, I'm going to give you my signal chain and my sound clips that you can apply at your home. Like I said, there are insane amount of details. We can just talk about the cable brands on the below if you want. I'm open to that if you are. There are 2 choruses on this tour, actually on Delicate Sound of Thunder 2 probably, but that doesn't matter. There are 2 choruses, one right before equalizers and the other one right before the high watts. I'm just gonna call them left and right because of the split chain and everything. But like I said, I don't want to get into insane amount of details. I'm just gonna give you what you need to know and you can just take it from there. Third and final, there were 600 watt high watts. Yes, 600 watt high watt heads on this tour. So please know that when I say definitive tone guide, I'm talking about information. I'm using a 1 watt amp, literally 1 watt tube amp, and I think I'm pretty close. So just, spare me some anger. Now I'm gonna give you 4 different types of sound. Cleans, overdrives, distortions, and big muff. I'm just gonna separate distortion and big muff because they're different clipping and everything. They do sound different too, of course. And of course, there are different variations of distortion. Well, not distortion, but big muff or clean or overdrive. I'm gonna talk about them. So let's start with cleans. Don't you just hate when it smells like a good tea, but it's just hot water? I'm gonna start with Shine On You Crazy Diamond because why not? It's the greatest song of all time. For me. I'm gonna talk about overdrives on the overdrive section, but on the Shine On You Crazy Diamond cleans, he used a CS2 and a Mixar Dynacomp, a script logo actually, a CA2 chorus, bass chorus, into 2290 delay, and it splits the signal into Doppelers and high watts. Why he used 2 compressors beats me, I don't know. I use my compressor on very high level and very high settings. He probably doesn't. It's the same for Coming Back to Life. It's the same for Another Brick in the Wall. The first one, and you're gonna be surprised, but it's the same for Run Like Hell 2. Again, EMGs, of course, EMGs. I'm not gonna mention EMGs, but whole tourism EMGs. CS2, Mixar Dynacomp, CE2, chorus, into 2290 delay, digital delay, into Doppelers and high watts. There are of course different types of clean tones. I mean, Keep Talking intro and clean fill-ins are Keep Talking, CS2, clean tube driver, CE2 again, and again Do Palas High Watts. Of course, on Pulse Records, Pink Floyd performed Dark Side of the Moon from start to finish, so we need Univibe for that. For Dark Side Tones, I mean Breathe, Brain Damage and Eclipse, you need a Univibe, but not for Us and Them. I took my notes here. There wasn't a Univibe in the signal chain for Us and Them. I mean, at least I don't hear it. Again, for Dark Side Tones and not Us and Them. A Boss CS2, a clean tube driver, Univibe, yes, after the dirts. A Boss CE2, into a delay, into a Doppelus, and into high watts. I want to point out that Univibe pedal is actually sounds better before dirt pedals, in my ear, but in this tour David Gilmour used after dirts, but before main modulation CE2, so it's worth to mention that, but I use it before. Now let's see some of my tones and see my signal chain. I'm not going to talk about my signal chain, but you're going to see on the screen. Now let's talk about overdrives. Some of the best tones I've ever heard. I mean, perfect, just perfect. So again, we're gonna talk about Shine On You Crazy Diamond, Learning to Fly, Coming Back to Life, Another Brick in the Wall, and some rhythm parts. For Shine On You Crazy Diamond's overdrive, and most of the overdrives actually, he used a CS2, a tube driver, gain one, medium gain one, a CE2, delay into Doppelus and high watts. It's the same for Coming Back to Life, it's the same for Another Brick in the Wall, but for Learning to Fly, I mean, it's the same for almost all overdrive tones, but for Learning to Fly, because Tim Renwick or something. Tim Renwick did the solo parts, and I've read somewhere that Tim Renwick used David Gilmour's Animals Tour pedal board, which contained Pete Cornish's ST2. It's a treble booster for 1977 tour, probably. We'll get into Animals album in the next weeks. But like I said, this doesn't matter that much. You can just use what I use or tube driver. And for rhythm parts for like money and time, David Gilmour used SS2, Pete Cornish SS2 plus tube driver, SS2 before tube driver medium gain of course. I'm not sure why he used SS2 before tube driver actually, probably for boosting mid-range or something like that. You don't need to, but this is how it sounds. Now, let's talk about what I use and hear my signal chain and my tones. Distortion. To be honest, I'm not much of a distortion fan. I don't like Procorat or the S1 or something like that. That's my taste. I'm not paying in the ass. So we see 3 different songs for distortion tones. There is What Do You Want From Me, Keep Talking, and Money's second solo, dry solo. And all of them are the same. It's CS2, tube driver, clean tube driver into a Procorat with GA7 in equalizer, I mean, but I'm gonna leave that out. I'm just gonna say tube driver, rat, and all the same into a chorus, into dopolas and hi-hats. Now let's hear my tones and my signal chain. Finally, Big Muff. There are a lot to cover actually here, and I'm not sure about one thing that I'm gonna point out just in a minute. But we're gonna talk about Hey You, Sorrow, Time, Money, and Comfortably Numb. So I'm gonna give you 3 signal chains. First one is Boss CS2, tube driver, clean, into a Softtek Big Muff, into CE2, into delay, into high watts and Dopolas. This is for solo, but not solo intro. Solo intro doesn't have CS2, same signal chain with CS2 for Money 2, for Hey You 2, and probably for Comfortably Numb, but I'm gonna get into that just in a little bit. For time, there's a little difference that I took my notes. First in the signal chain is Sawtech Big Muff, no compressor here, and a medium gain tube driver after Sawtech Big Muff, and a Univibe and a CE2, and a delay and Dopolas and high watts again. So this is a little different. If you listen to the original recording, it sounds a little muddy actually, not just because of the Univibe, because when you use a tube driver or an overdrive pedal after Big Muff, it's gonna sound a little dark, which is my favorite actually. I love boosting that. So that's that. This is a little different. And for Comfortably Numb, I'm thinking there are two signal chains. First one is again CS2, tube driver Klein, Sawtech, I mean the one I mentioned, and the other one is a Pete Cornish P2, which he started using around 1990 for Nebworth Venice or something like that. Watch my Comfortably Numb video. A P2 tube driver Klein, because Sawtech Big Muff is after Klein tube driver, but Pete Cornish P2 is before Klein overdrive. I mean, and P2 tube driver CE2 delay into Dopolas and high watts. And if you really listen, Comfortably Numb guitar solo tone, actually I mean, is a little different than Sorrow guitar solo tone, I mean. Just gonna done. So let's see my signal chain, what I use, then we'll talk about what's what. I love to be wrong. Let's talk below. Again, 1 watt amp versus 600 watt high watts. I mean, this is a no-brainer, but when you use the signal chain that I gave you in a big setup where I do in my studio with my 20 watt amp, you are gonna sound amazing. I'm making a PDF file about a guitar cheat sheet I mean, electric guitar cheat sheet. You're gonna learn about what is a tone, what does frequencies do, what does EQ board do, how you can get the perfect tone in your bedroom, what are David Gilmour's every single chain and alternative chains. Also, I'm making a website. If it's live by the time you watch this, just check below. And do check out my Patreon account. I share detailed tone guides there for the covers I do, exceptional guitar tabs that I personally make for live and rare guitar solos, David Gilmour and a little Henriksen actually. I'm making a big archive there with backing tracks too, the backing tracks I use on this channel, which I'm allowed to because of the legal issues. I don't want to steal anyone's work. And again, thank to my patrons. It's growing so fast and I'm so happy. If you like the series, please consider subscribing and commenting down below. Let's talk below. This is just the first video of a big playlist. I'm gonna do Gdansk with different guitar actually. I've only used this guitar, but I'm gonna bring my other guitars from my studio. For Gdansk, for Live at Pompeii, for 1972 Live at Pompeii, for Dark Side of the Moon, Shiver Hero Animals, The Wall, for everything. So watch out.